What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Red Chill, your one-stop shop for everything movies, TV, pop culture, and everything in between. I'm your host, Root, and
Shabz.
what is up? Welcome to the Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods review, spoiler cast, and general discussion of everything that happens in that movie. Sorry, I had to actually try and remember the name of this film. Not only the plot, I'm already starting to forget the name of the film. Drake, before we get into it, we recorded our initial reactions as we got out of the cinema. How about we throw it to Root and Shabz in the car, and we'll be right back. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Root and
Shabz.
And we just saw Shazam 2, and this is our initial reaction. What did you think?
I thought it was very close to fully sucking, but there were some parts I enjoyed, but it was such a fucking mess that I don't even remember what parts of it. I think the only clear thing that I remember enjoying was the wizard and the kid doing their little adventure comedy. Other than that, I honestly, we just saw it. We just finished watching it, and I just remember like a lot of stuff happening and then more stuff happening, and everything that happened in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, but for some reason it was done in a comedic manner. And Lucy Liu, I think, was terrible. The one thing I really enjoyed, let me just say this. I loved the first movie, and the only complaint I had with the first movie was that the kid playing Billy Batson before he turns into Shazam, I thought he was the worst part of the movie. I thought he was sucked as an actor.
Wow.
And every time he spoke lines, I felt embarrassed. And the most hilarious thing they did in this, he had the least amount of screen time than all the other actors.
Yeah.
And I love that. And then at the end, spoilers. Should we spoil it?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a full spoiler review. At the end, when they killed him, I was like, oh, thank you. You didn't kill Zachary Levi, but you killed the actual kid. So I was very happy with that. But other than that, from a movie standpoint, I think just the wizard part, like doing his little adventure comedy with the kid with the crutch. I have no idea what their names are. Freddy, I think that was part of the joke. But yeah, sorry. I was very confused by the whole movie. I had high hopes for it because I really loved the first one. And yeah,
I don't know. For me, I have to say the best way I can describe it is this movie is what I wish Netflix movies were. You know, if I could watch it at home, I wouldn't be as disappointed. But it's like I don't hate it. I don't love it. It was just like, okay.
Yeah.
The first half was quite boring. It was very little happened, and there was a lot of explaining and talking. And then the second half was just batshit crazy, where like more and more shit happened all at the same time, and I'm like, what is the motivation of anybody right now, and like where are we going? And I don't know, I think we lost a lot of the fun of a kid being a superhero.
Yeah.
And I actually thought, like, in the first part, I didn't hate the kid that much. I thought him and Zachary Levi and whatever they were doing, it was fun, you know, whatever they were getting into. Here it was like, and I couldn't relate to the villains, and I don't know, just too much happened. I'm still confused. I feel almost like I almost need to see it again to really get an idea of if I hate it, I love it, or if I'm really indifferent. I also kind of don't want to watch it again.
Yeah, exactly. I would have. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, but I'm just gonna say, like, I really loved the first one, and so I'm very confused on the second one.
Yeah, I would need to watch it again if I have to remember the plot. If I have to remember what all happened, that's the only reason I would want to watch it again. Because other than that, like, the first one was so, like, from start to finish, it was so streamlined. The story was streamlined. All the character motivations had thematic relevance. All the kids had thematic relevance, and everything. The villain was part of the thing, and the backstory wasn't like, it didn't need to be explained fully, but it was explained enough where it made sense for the story. Because I've seen Shazam a bunch of times, even after the first viewing.
Same.
And I thought, like, it was like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. But then the second one, I think some of the things they had it, like, where they still had that, like, the weird extras would be just running around. and then everything just went to trash. And I don't know what I was so confused as to what we were we couldn't even like save our review. We started chit-chatting in the middle of the movie. We're like, wait, what's happening? Why is this happening? Yeah.
Too many moments which were just like, what is going on? What just happened? Why is this a thing? Like, I like a good example was what I was telling you was the introduction of super speed, and then never using super speed in any situation.
It's like, what's the point?
And they did the Ant-Man thing where like they have a dragon that spits fire that kills everything, but he stands in front of one of the heroes
and he does the fear thing
and
for some reason
forgets that that he has fire.
And how? Okay, so here's the thing. So all these kids, the reason it's cool is that they're regular humans. There's nothing special about them, right? But somehow the kid with the crutch has like this godly power.
He's apparently the strongest character in the whole DCU.
Yeah, I don't know how he's able to resist like this god of chaos's dragon fear power, and he's just able to. He's just like walking into it. Like Superman couldn't do that during that thing.
A 6,000-year-old lady can do it,
and he can do it. She's the sister who I would have like. I was honestly waiting for her to be like, hey, you know, you never knew, but I actually learned how to resist your powers over the last 6,000 years secretly. But it's like, no, it's this kid with a crutch. He goes through so much shit and he never once gets hurt. The whole point of him being handicapped is that it makes the story interesting because he would have more obstacles to overcome. Not once. He's roaming around the most out of all the kids.
I was going to say, it's so mean. They make him run so much.
I know. But he never gets hurt. He never gets hurt. Not once.
The one thing I have to say is Desmond Hanzu, MVP. Almost every scene, he had some joke that really made me laugh.
Save the movie.
Although I think the best moment in it is the little girl going, taste the rainbow, motherfucker. I was not ready for it. They dropped the motherfucker in this movie.
I was like, whoa.
The whole time I'm like, this is a kid's movie. Until then, I was like, wait a minute. It's amazing. There are kids in the theater, and the parents were complaining that they're promoting junk food.
Junk food. Yeah.
That was before the motherfucker. I don't think they were ready for the motherfucker.
So no, okay, so that's funny, right? So we had like parents with like little kids both of us next to us, and the mother next to me, when she's like, hey, like she throws Skittles, and the mother and the father are like joking. I think they were like, oh my god, they're giving them junk food. And then the dad, he actually yells out, oh my god, she said motherfucker. I was like, dude, you just said motherfucker in front of your two little kids. What the hell's wrong with you, dude? You're complaining about this is the problem with society. Okay.
we live in a society.
We live in a society, guys.
But basically, my theory is that whole scene paid for the entire movie.
Yes, exactly. It was the Dunkin' Donuts of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
I was getting so many Power Rangers flashbacks.
The Dunkin' Donuts from Jack and Jill.
Oh yeah, Dunkin' Donuts from Jack. Krispy Kreme for Power Rangers.
But all right, I guess we'll talk about it more tomorrow. I think we can go on for hours here.
We have a lot of shit to say.
My challenge is going to be for Shabz to remember what the hell happened in this movie by tomorrow.
That's not going to happen. I'm going to fail that. I'm already mentioning it. We're not going. I don't think we're going to do a recap and review. I think we're just going to recap whatever we remember, and then review whatever is left of it.
We're about to find out. Let's send it back to Root and Shabz in the studio.
Yes. All right. Peace, guys. Shazam was terrible. I was so disappointed. It had we'll get more into it later on. But yeah, I was very disappointed. I was so happy with the first one, and I was very disappointed with this one.
A solid 6 out of 10.
Let's. Oh my God.
I don't know. Let's see how I feel about it tomorrow.
I would go 4. If I'm being generous, yeah. I don't want to be too mean, but 4. If I'm being generous, yeah.
Totally fair. I'm being very generous.
You're being very generous.
Very generous.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I don't want to divulge what we've done before the thing, but I think it's the beers that making you go like 6. I think you're just being very generous right now.
No, it was probably because I was almost falling asleep in the first half.
Yeah, I had to keep looking over to see if Root was passing out or not.
Because the first half was like, whoa, all right. You know what? Make it a 5. We'll see.
We'll see. Aggregate 4.5 out of 10. All right. Peace, guys. See you in the studio.
Yeah, man.
Root
Later.
Studio. Yeah. Peace.
Peace. And we're back in the studio. Thank you, Root and Shabz. And we're back. Root and Shabz in the studio are back.
This review is brought to you by Skittles. The nectar of the gods.
Oh God, yeah. So, all right, where do we even begin? I think that was our initial reaction, so that's out of the way. I guess we can try and go through it by plot from the beginning, but I
Yeah.
think, okay, how about this? I gave you a challenge. I was like, let's see if you remember anything that happens in this movie. So let's go with you try and remember the plot,
Mm,
and we just
okay.
throw in our general thoughts of like what
Right.
we remember.
I'll see whatever I can remember because it did take us 5 days to get back from the movie theater, as you
Yeah,
can tell from my stubble and the change of shirt.
yeah,
But
it
okay,
was a long drive.
yeah, it's a fucking all right.
Traffic in Delhi, you don't understand.
Mm, all right, here we go. So, how did we start? I think we walked in like 2 minutes late, 2 to 5 minutes late. I'm guessing, but I don't think we missed that much. We walked in. I shouldn't say we walked in on. We walked into the theater when Shazam was at the doctor's and he's
What?
talking about his feelings.
Well, there was a
Yeah.
little scene with Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu before where I think they're getting the staff or something.
Oh, I was wondering because I saw that in the trailer where they're at some museum picking up the
Yeah,
staff, and my whole thought during the whole movie was like, how do they get the staff? And
yeah, I
I was
think
like,
that.
did they just cut that scene out of the movie or did we miss it?
No, I think that was happening as we were walking in. And then,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Which seems like the weirdest first scene for the movie. I'll be very honest. I would have preferred him just being on the doctor's chair.
yeah, you think for a sequel it would be like, "Hey, guess what
Starts
I've been
with
up to?"
Shazam.
You know,
Yeah.
like here's what I've been doing these last 2 years. You know, it's usually
Dealing with
what they
my
do.
insecurities. It's just, yeah. So that was weird. Okay. So okay, that makes sense in terms at least they told us how they got the staff, but it really doesn't make sense from a structure standpoint, which was one of the biggest problems with the movie. But yeah. So it starts off with him at the doctor's talking about how he feels like insecure about how all these superheroes are better than him, even though I remember the basically the end or the whole point of the first Shazam was that he's better than all of them, that he's got the strength of Superman, he's got the speed of Flash, and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
true.
That was and I remember this very clearly because I have the Blu-ray and I watched it a lot of times. And the ending, like once the movie ends, the end credits is like that Spider-Man animation of like colored drawings, and they're
Yeah,
playing like I Don't Want to Grow Up. And in that same sequence, they show a sequence of Shazam just like arm wrestling with Superman and just like beating him handily and like smirking at the camera, like, oh, that was so easy for me. So I thought that was the whole point of the movie, is that this little kid has the powers of all the Justice League, and but so he's better than all of them, but it's a little kid, which is what's interesting about him. But now it
yeah.
seems like every superhero is better than him, so it kind of makes him pointless.
I mean, they kind of let that was completely missing from the movie for me in general. The whole like this is a kid getting to be a superhero. First of all,
Yeah.
he's barely a kid anymore. He's already 17, where it seems like they
Right.
really don't want to make more sequels of this because
Mm.
yeah, I thought that's the whole premise of Shazam, that he's a kid turning into him. I was saying I'm very curious to see what happens when he's grown up, you know, like is he just
All
I
right.
guess I guess one of the sisters, did you notice?
I was just gonna mention that.
Right? What the fuck was up
What?
with that? So I actually heard afterwards the director was saying that they thought that she's gonna have so much makeup on and like her hair different that no one will be able
Mm.
to tell that it's the same actress.
I was like, wait, she's only like in the first movie, she was like applying to college, so or like something like that, right?
I don't remember
And
her.
yeah, something like that. Like she's applying to college and she doesn't like get into college, and that's her conflict that she's dealing with. And but then she turns into a superhero at the end, but it's right at the end, so we don't actually like notice it. But I like there's no difference in her, and that I guess goes back to your point where it's like it's no longer a kid. So like, what does he just stay Zachary Levi Levy? I
Yeah.
don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Levi, I think.
Levi, okay,
There's
Levi
in
Jeans.
general, there's this whole thing where I don't think that how Zachary Levi portrays Shazam fits
Mm.
in any way as to how Billy acts anytime else. In the first movie,
Yeah.
especially, he was such an emo kid, and then suddenly he's
Yes.
Shazam, and he's like, "Oh, pow, pow,"
Oh yeah.
I'm suddenly like having the greatest time of my life, and I'm like all
Mm.
playful and shit. Where like I think
And
the
jokey and
like in this movie, there's so little Billy in this fucking movie that like even if that kid tried to act a little bit more happy, I have no idea. He was barely in it. It's like
and
Shazam and Billy both are barely in this fucking movie. It's called
yeah.
Shazam, but like it's all actually it's the what is the friend's name? It's basically all about
Freddy.
him.
It's
Freddy.
it's about Freddy.
It's the
He's
Freddy
basically the
movie.
lead character. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the protagonist.
he gets the love interest. He
Hmm.
gets the all the heroic moments.
Yes.
For the majority of the
For no
movie,
reason. For no
yeah,
reason, by the way.
yeah, like apparently he's one of the strongest characters in the whole DCEU because he can stand up to a
As a
dragon.
kid,
Yeah,
as a kid,
just him
and
as a
not just
kid.
stand up to a dragon with the power of sucking out every inch of fear from you.
It
And
was
he
like,
stood up not just to the dragon, but also to the god of chaos, who literally the black wizard, who's been a wizard for like 10,000 years.
yeah,
It 1 second, and he's like, "Oh my god, here you go." And Freddy's like, I can, because I'm a devious kid, and it's like, dude, that doesn't that doesn't mean you have these kind of powers. Like that's never established. Do you?
right.
Why do you even need to be a superhero?
Like this girl is 6,000 years old, and she's been around this dragon this whole time, and she
Yeah.
is on her knees and is like ready to die. Where also in that scene, it's the classic thing again, where like that dragon is spewing so much goddamn fire throughout the whole
Mm.
movie, but in that moment, the dragon's just like, "What the hell? This shit is not working. What do I do?
Yeah.
I don't know
What
what
do
to
I
do.
do?
That's all I can do." No, no, it's not. Just blow them away with your fire. Like what
Blow
the
them
fuck? Even
away.
Lucy
Yeah.
Liu is looking like, how is he
Yeah.
doing that? It's like, why
How
do
is
you
he doing that?
care?
Why?
Like, why do you, what is that? Why you didn't do the fire? You're like, oh my God, he's very special. We got to protect him now. He's a god.
So
He's
so
basically a
there's
god.
he is he's like a demigod, and basically that goes into two scenes, two things
What?
that I was really hoping. Oh, sorry, yeah, go on.
No, please.
I was gonna say like two things I was really hoping would happen when I was watching the scenes, but obviously it won't happen. One was him standing next to the dragon, right, and sucking in all this fear and being able to take it. I thought the funniest thing would be them going like Lucy Liu and the dragon going like, "Wait, what's going on? What's going on?" And they just blow the fire, and he just gets obliterated. And I would be like, "Oh shit!" moment, right? Like, holy shit, they truly went there. And the
Yeah.
next one was when Darla throws the Skittles and she's like, "It's the nectar of the gods," and she throws it like it's
And
slow
the
mo.
unicorn doesn't
I was,
stop.
yeah, I was hoping that unicorn stops. It hits it in the face, and it's like this moment where you're expecting the unicorn to eat the Skittles. It just runs into all of them and just stampedes all over them, and that's it. So there's no other side characters; they're all killed off, and now it's just Shazam by himself, and he's
Well,
responsible for all.
oh my God, there's so many things that I can say on that one. Like everything you just said. Like,
Right.
okay, first of all, what you mentioned in this movie wouldn't even be fucking weird because it's a kids movie, but the body
Right.
count is freaking crazy in this. And it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, off screen someone gets blasted or someone falls over. It's like, oh my God, my knee hurts. No, they take a teacher and they make him kill himself off a fucking
And you
roof.
hear the thump.
It's literally she says it's like that sound never gets old. That splatting of a human body hitting the
Yeah,
ground.
I know. And
Like
I
what
looked
the
at you
fuck?
when we heard the sound. I actually looked at you in the theater and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
What the
because the
fuck?
thing is like that and like that goes into I really was because it's directed by David F. Sandberg, right? Who's a
Yeah,
horror director,
yeah.
and that visual in itself seemed like a horror movie, but then it's like it has to be part of Shazam. So we'll just include like a Wile E. Coyote thump song, rather than actually showing it. But it's like, and I was really curious to know. I didn't even check this. Like, who wrote this movie? Because it reminded me of like what happened with Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman and the second Wonder Woman, where it's like the first one was so good, right? It was one of the best DC movies, except for the third act.
I didn't like it.
But in turn, like, really, you didn't like the first Wonder Woman? I thought it was great. But
Quickly, I tell you
yeah.
real quick what it was for me. It's a finally female superhero, and it should
Mhm.
be all about like, oh, this woman is fucking powerful and she is like independent, but the entire movie
Right.
is men telling Wonder Woman, "Don't do that. Don't do this. Why are you doing this?
But
Stop it."
but it's more about her coming to work with the men. But
And then
whatever. We'll do a
in
Wonder
the
Woman
end, what saves the movie? The man.
route later.
Your video
What's
froze
that?
a
Sorry,
bit.
my camera froze. Oh,
Yeah.
here we go. We're back. Sorry, guys.
In the end, what saves the movie? It's the man. And
Right.
she
Well,
and
that
then
a white man.
what gives her the power? The power of love for the man. It's like
Mm.
underneath that movie is just this whole story of like how important men are to this woman. So much so that
Right.
she basically is in a depression mode for part 2 until the man comes back. But I'm like,
Yeah, that's
don't do it with Wonder Woman, like out of all characters, like she is such a
Mm.
strong female character that like I was just like
like she tells the men what to do.
that's what it should be. But the entire thing was just like, oh no, without her
That's what
man.
that's what the second movie should have been. But like my point was that so the first movie it was like written by someone and directed by Patty Jenkins, and in terms of just like structurally, it was a great superhero movie where an origin story where the kid learns to become a hero and blah blah blah, right? And then
Okay.
the second movie was written by Patty Jenkins as well, like or at least story by.
Yeah,
And it was such a fucking mess, right? It felt
terrible.
like he wanted all these ideas and tonally it was all over the place. So I kind of drew kind of like same parallels of like Shazam first movie was so great, compact, focused on Shazam and the villain, and thematically they were like contrasting each other. So it was almost I think Shazam was like way more perfect than anything in
I
like the
love that
DC
movie.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and now the second movie, I was like, David F. Sandberg, like I haven't liked a lot of his movies, but visually he's great. So I was curious to know if he had a lot of input in it, or if he was like, no, I want to make this small, just like for Shazam, and the studios were like, no, you gotta include this, you gotta include that, and it turned into a giant mess.
Yeah, I don't know. We should look it up. I'm actually curious now too, but
Yeah, should we check it?
what
Let me just quickly check it.
have a look. Meantime, I'll
While
mention
you're
the
talking,
next
yeah.
thing. You were saying demigod also. That also completely destroys the final scene of the movie where they're just randomly, oh, why don't you use the staff to revive Billy? And he was like, no, we can't. We need a god. There's no more gods left. Also, no more gods in the DCEU and the
Yeah,
Snyderverse,
what the
apparently.
hell? It's all
The
about the
fuck?
gods.
What does that mean for existence of anything? Like, if there's no gods are not important, I guess. But then Wonder Woman shows up and she's a demigod. Like, does that makes no difference? Like, demigod is good enough. She just take the staff
Yeah,
and be
that's good
like,
enough.
she just touches it and
that,
it's like, there you go. I
that
fixed
really
it for
made
you,
me think of like where the fuck was Wonder Woman during this whole thing?
right? Well, again,
Like
now I
where
David
the
F. Sandberg has
city's
been
running amok.
on. He's been on social media a lot, and apparently he mentioned that first of all, the whole idea of the dome, which by the way, Simpsons did it, but the idea of the dome was to explain why other superheroes aren't coming to help, and there was supposed to be a scene. He
Oh,
imagined
oh
a
yeah,
scene
that
of
makes sense. I totally
Batman.
forgot about that.
Yeah, they forgot about it too for like half the movie. But then the idea was that he wanted to have Batman and Superman on the dome, like banging on it, trying to get in, and then
Oh,
he stopped that idea. There's
that would have
also
been cool.
Henry Cavill filmed a scene for this movie, like he was in the movie and they removed him, which is also crazy.
Fucking.
And
Oh,
on
and
top of it,
I read yeah, go on. I read something about fucking The Rock as well.
yeah,
You
exactly.
you know.
I was gonna say The Rock has refused to be any part of Shazam, and he apparently was the one that refused to let them use the Justice
Yeah.
Society
How the fuck
because
does The
of
Rock have so much pull?
right, and because of that they had to bring in James Gunn's his wife to do it
Yeah.
instead, which is such a weird scene until anyways. Like, why is she doing it out of all the? It's like if
And when the fuck did Amanda Waller become the boss of everyone? Like
right,
she's like this underground Black Ops operate leader. Like
yeah,
when the fuck does she? That was the problem with Black Adam. Like how is she sending Superman to do things? Like it's Superman, an established Superman. How is Amanda Waller? Like it should be the president saying like, hey, Black Adam, if you're not gonna, we'll send someone like from blah blah blah. But it's like
no,
Amanda Waller's like, well, I'll send Superman. It's like, wait, who the fuck made you the boss of all the Justice League people? Like Justice
right.
Society, okay, I get it. But yeah, we're jumping all over the place. But that's what the movie is like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we care already more than they did. So,
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was
but
thinking, what
yeah,
else did I
so
read about that?
but now apparently the latest on that rock story is that Zachary Levi posted on his Instagram story a picture of the headline saying The Rock
Yeah,
refused to be doing
and
anything
he's
with Shazam.
like,
And
truth be told, or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Wait till the truth will set you free, I think is what he said.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. Wondering, it's weird that Black Adam is not even mentioned, like nothing. Like you
It
would
was the
think,
biggest problem for me, where it's like you're using the same fucking wizard, the same magic spell Shazam. Why does Black Adam have it? And then you're still looking for champions. Why do 8 people have it here and only Black Adam there? My
yeah,
only thing was like, okay, Black Adam doesn't want to leave Kandak, and that's why he's not in this. But that's my thinking. Like, he wasn't even fucking mentioned by a Black Wizard, nothing. I keep
nothing.
calling him Black Wizard, whatever his name is.
Desmond Hanzu, the MVP of the
Yeah.
movie, he was amazing.
Mm.
Oh my
Thank
god,
God for him.
such like amazing fucking jokes with him. The creaking of the
Mm.
knees was
The knees,
amazing.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that was
and but also okay, there's so many things to talk about. Oh my god. All right. So they don't mention Shazam no Black Adam at all, but like okay, well then why also why does he did they think that he needed a whole family to join him? Like it's way too fucking early for the Marvel family to be a part of it. And then what they do is so they have what is it, 6 or 7 characters in total, and they
yeah.
don't do anything with anybody. And
Yes.
like
So
greatest the greatest explanation of how far character development is in his movie is what they do with the kid, where like, oh, he looks at a like Sports Illustrated of a like naked dude, and he's like, oh yeah, I like baseball. And then they're like, oh, okay, I guess he's gay. And then at a certain point in the movie he gets to yell out, I'm gay, and everybody's
I'm gay.
like, we know. And that
And
is
that's
the
it.
entire story arc that character gets, and that is as
There
much as
was
anybody gets.
That was my literal like point that I wrote. Like, there was actually zero character arcs for anyone. In a and especially, so I wrote didn't write, but I ended up having ideas for a whole third act which utilized every member, right? And first of all, my question was this, okay? By at the end of Shazam 1, I thought that each person gets like one power, and then Shazam has all the powers, so it makes him better than all of them. But it's like, I thought the little black girl, Darla, had
Yes,
super speed,
but everybody's
and
has super speed. What the fuck?
then suddenly everyone has super speed, and the dude, what's his name, the gay dude, I thought his was like, oh, he's a fat dude who doesn't talk much, but now he's strong and handsome, and he's got super strength, because that's how they utilize their powers in that last final scene of
Yeah.
Shazam, right? Where Darla is using super speed, the dude is using his super strength, and then some other guys, and I totally forgot what. And oh yeah, Chinese dude was flying. So I was like, okay, so because they test out each of Shazam's powers once he becomes Shazam in the middle of the movie, right? So I was like, okay, so each of them get a power, and then Shazam's the only one who has all the powers. So that's what makes him the main superhero, and then these are like ancillary characters who help out, right? But in
Yeah.
this, it's Captain Every Power. Everyone has all the powers, and it makes zero sense why Shazam is anything now,
Worst
and why
joke
he's the
that
leader.
they run into the ground, Captain Every Power.
I was
Oh.
like,
And then
can I
okay,
just mention?
and also the super speed thing breaks every single scene in this movie where there's any
Mm,
drama, because all you have to
yeah,
do is use your super speed. Like, why are they flying
yeah.
slowly after a dragon to grab the staff? And the whole time, how many times do they grab the staff and the staff gets taken back? And it's like, dude, just super speed, take it and get the
Super
fuck
speed.
out. Like,
That's
what the
it.
fucking there's 6 of you, 7 of you, just fucking do something. Also, and then on top of that, so they finally have a device to like take away the powers from these kids, right? And I was
Mm,
like, perfect, we can get back to just focusing on Shazam, take everyone's
yeah,
power. It's explained that they had their fun, but now
right.
Shazam is the hero again. No, they take the power to get the power, they take the power to get, and then
Okay.
Shazam never gets hit for some reason, so he doesn't even have to deal with what it would be like to
Yeah.
go back to being Billy. because
and do
fuck
some
that kid.
because
Don't one wants to see him act, right?
I don't think anyone wanted to. I didn't want to see him act.
I
I was
do.
very happy about it.
I like him. So, but like apparently the
I was very
filmmakers
happy
fucking
about
hate
that.
that kid because they just like let him do nothing. Like
Yeah.
literally, they like, okay, we show you at the beginning, you get one scene for your character arc setup, and then you're gonna kill you at the end. Otherwise, Zachary Levi is gonna get paid the big bucks this time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
That was that was the only part I liked about the movie. That there was literally like 3 scenes with that kid.
I thought
He
it was
had
okay.
nothing to do. I like wouldn't it have been so much better? Like let's say they wanted to involve the kid, right? Like wouldn't the kid wouldn't he be different in high school? Like he's a senior in high school, he's handsome, he's tall, and now he has all this confidence of being a superhero.
Yeah, he looks fucking
Wouldn't he
ripped.
like
He
have a
doesn't look like
girlfriend?
a dork
Yeah,
as all. Like
exactly. Like
also,
even in the first movie, he wasn't a dork, but like he was like
dude,
a regular kid who's joined a new school and all this stuff. Now he's
w-
like in it. Wouldn't he have a girlfriend? Wouldn't he be like the cool guy?
well, I ask you, what is wrong with this fucking school in general? Maybe that's why he doesn't have a girlfriend. Like, what was those fucking bullies, dude? What the fuck?
They
That
were
was like not
they
even
were like
bullying.
from
They're
the 80s.
17. And
They had
like
like black leather jackets on.
dude, and they're like bending a cripple like a handicapped
Oh
kid's
yeah, how the
fucking
fuck did they do that?
thing, and like they're so fucked up to him. And then like the
Oh
Diedrich
my
Bader,
god.
the teacher, comes in and he's like, "What's going on here?" And they're like, "I don't know. He
Hey,
must have
Beater
fallen."
Man.
Yeah. Dude, like what the fuck? He doesn't do nothing. He's just like, you get out of here, you little scoundrels. And then he
Yeah.
just turns to them and he's like, yeah,
He's like,
I
hey,
got
good job,
roasted like
man.
that too.
Yeah, I
Also,
used to be
you
here
get
too.
like he's not a big actor, but I think Diedrich Bader at this point, like people know him like from
Yeah,
enough shit.
anyway,
Drew Carey
from Office
show,
Space.
from Office
Office Space.
Space, like so many good scenes. And then I thought, like, okay, he's in the movie. I guess they might do something with him. And then in the
For
next
two
scene,
seconds.
they make him kill himself, and then nobody reacts. Like they just cut to the next thing.
Yeah.
No one ever fucking
Only
mentions.
Freddie was like, oh my god. And we're like, dude, that's it. Like that's
That's
the
it.
guy that like I thought that would send him to into like a violent rage or something, right?
Back
Like,
to the body count. Also, when the monsters come out, like, dude, do you remember like there's like this scorpion thingy, and it just fucking
yeah.
stabs this lady, just like throws someone into the fucking walls and shit.
So
Dude, it's
I was
so brutal.
I kept thinking about Man of Steel because I love Man of Steel, and everyone's problem was that there was so much destruction and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, all Man of Steel had to do was just joke about it, and it would have been totally fine. Because they
Yeah.
had way more destruction, way more on-screen like fucking killing with all these monsters. And there's a scene that's right out of Man of Steel where I think like Shazam throws someone or he gets thrown through a building and like the building collapses and he goes, "Whew, that was fun." And I was like, dude, what the hell? This is exactly what everyone was fucking blaming Man of Steel for.
Does he save anybody in the final act? I feel like all we
No
see
one.
is people getting murdered and nobody's
Yeah.
saving anybody.
And
Dude.
they're just like on the terrace, like, oh my god, we're done for. And they're having like a sweet little moment between each other.
Also, talk about like gruesome deaths and shit. Helen Mirren, the dragon, there's a giant hole like this big
Oh,
in her
yeah.
chest. When they're reviving her, or like they're like she's hanging on to the alive. I turned to you and I was like, dude, what heart are they fucking reviving in there? You
Oh
didn't
my
he like he
god.
shocked her, right? Like that's what it
Oh
was.
yeah, he did clear.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, dude, what are you clearing? There's no heart left. That shit was stabbed right and grabbed right out of her chest. What the fuck?
It's like Tony Stark's hollow chest.
Dude, what the fuck? It's worse than that. It's you can see through it. What the fuck? Oh, talk about fucking gruesome scenes. Also, like, do you remember the wizard pulling out a giant nail out of his finger?
Oh,
The fuck
so
is that?
these are the scenes that made me go like, these are things that David F. Sandberg wanted to do. He wanted to have these, because those were like really. It reminded me of the Evil Dead remake.
And because it's gonna say the same thing. It's Evil Dead.
She pulls it out of her toe. Yeah, exactly. So he's making references
like,
to
dude,
like
it's
all
a
horror
fucking
movies.
kids movie. A kids movie where a kid says motherfucker.
Well, she didn't say it. I don't think she said it.
Oh my god, it's insane.
Oh my god.
Well, it cut on the foot, but like, oh my god. Dude, but that scene was so, and it goes so long. That's the longest nail that he pulls out of there just to like turn it into like a bird or some shit. Unnecessary.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally. So what happened there, dude? What was the point of that?
I
Wait, once again, I'm fixing my light while you talk.
but like I don't know. Actually, I think they never explain it. He just pulls a giant nail out of his finger, which actually thinking about it, how did he even move his finger at that point? Like his finger would have had to be like this the entire time to fit that long of a nail in there. And then like he
Oh yeah.
takes it and he just throws it out the window and it just
And then he
it
goes,
flies away.
Good one, little one. Now go tell Shazam about the daughters of Atlas. And
Yeah.
I was like, what's the point of that? How do they get the staff?
It,
Why is
it
the
leads
first movie and the second movie about the staff?
it leads to one of the few actually good scenes in it that like I give the movie this. It made me laugh out loud a couple of times where I was supposed to laugh out loud because they do this whole thing where Shazam is on a date with Wonder Woman and they don't show her face. And then you're like, oh, they're doing the Superman thing again. Fuck, come on, you couldn't get her and all this shit. And then they're like, ah, got you. And they cut to the front, but it's actually the wizard. And then
It
that
was
scene
the
goes,
funniest scene.
it goes
It
on
goes
for
on for
so
so long.
long. They're so
It
committed
keeps
to
cutting
it.
back to him.
It's
It keeps cutting
amazing.
back to his head on
So good.
that was the one scene where I was like, and the best part about that, first of all, it felt like I was watching like a David Lynch movie. Like every time, because it went on for so long, had they just done the joke like once and then that's it, I would have like, oh, it would have like, I wouldn't have remembered it. But they keep cutting back to him talking and
Yeah.
on this slender body, right? But then that was the one thing that the one joke where it felt like not just a joke, but just like anything that they actually set up and then had a payoff for it at the end of the movie, where they set up the neck down thing. They know what people will be pissed.
Yeah.
They make a joke of it. And then they do it right at the end where you still again see Wonder Woman with just the neck down and then she actually appears. So I was
Right.
like, okay, thank you, movie. You actually like you set up because they set up so many things. I have so many problems with all the shit that they set up, especially like when it comes to like a story and like a character point, where they set up all these like interpersonal conflicts and like conflicts between each member of the team, and they have zero payoffs, like absolutely zero payoffs. They talk about Billy's abandonment issues. They talk about like
Well,
the
I
white
guess
girl who's
they did give him one scene where the mother goes like, "Oh, you know
so
what? You
that
could."
I thought that was going to be the payoff, but it wasn't because that was a payoff for a separate setup, which was when they're all leaving, everyone's like, bye mom, and he's the only one's like, bye Rosa, and then the dad looks at her and he goes, give him time, don't worry. And I was when they were having their little moment where she's like, no, I want to see my Billy. I was like, when the fuck did you guys develop this bond? I've never seen you hang out throughout the
Yeah.
entire movie.
Yeah.
They don't, she's hanging out way more with the gay dude than she is with Billy. So I don't know how she's like, no, I want to see my Billy. But anyways, I thought
Dude.
it would be like he would turn into Zachary Levi or like something and he would say, okay, mom, I gotta go. He still doesn't say mom.
Yeah.
It
They
still
don't pay
doesn't
that
have a
off.
payoff.
And
Even that doesn't have a payoff.
dude,
It would be the easiest thing to do.
those parents must be like the dumbest people ever. First of all, they're watching them on TV, and at no point are they like, "Isn't that our daughter?"
No,
think-
so the oh yeah, she looks exactly the same.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second. She looks exactly like our daughter. And then the second thing is the dad goes, "Oh, that's why the house kept being struck by lightning."
Yeah.
Like, what do
It's
you
like
mean?
you figured that out now.
There's 7 lightning-based superheroes in the city running amok. You're like, I wonder why the fuck we keep getting struck by lightning. It's not even raining.
He even does the he starts counting them on TV and he's like, I'm gonna go check on the kids, and then
Yeah.
immediately they're in the house and he's like, oh yeah, they could be stealing or blah blah blah. It's like, oof. And it's like, dude, they just got in the house. Like, wouldn't you? You're watching superheroes flying
Yeah.
around. Wouldn't it even occur to you to question them or cross question them? What kind of a parent are you?
Yeah,
I would expect these kids to be the most bratty, like out of control kids with the kind of easygoing parenting that they have, but they're all like super settled and like, you know, everybody's. I was like, I don't know how you guys may be the luckiest foster parents that you have kids who are orphans, some of them who are handicapped, and they're just not going ape shit on you. Like that would be the hardest parenting job I would imagine. And they're just like, oh my god, where are our kids? One of them is a 6-year-old girl and she's hanging out, and then one of them is 24 years old. Well, why are they all hanging out with each other? Like, it makes no sense. I'm an adult. I should be able to put all these things together.
why do they keep screaming Shazam?
Yeah.
They scream it so loudly, and then it goes bang. You know, they're like there's the scene. They literally just walk out the front door, and they're like not even 50 meters away from
Yeah.
the house.
He's
Like the parents could be looking out the window at that moment, and they just all
or like
together.
some neighbors.
Yeah, and they just go Shazam. Bow, with like lightning strikes down, and nobody is
When
like somebody could be working in their garden or something.
like remember when Man of Steel, when Clark Kent saves the bus and his mom is so scared that he might be some kind of an alien. Like, wouldn't the neighbors ever notice, like, hey, I think your kids might be up to something? They get out on the street, and this, like, if I were to play out
They
on the
turn
street as a
into
kid,
adults.
yeah, there's something weird is going on with your kids. I don't know what's happening.
It
Maybe you
might be
should check in
puberty. I
on
don't
them
know,
more.
but you should ask them about
Yeah.
it. It's just they just
Oh my
spontaneously
god.
explode, and like adult men
Yeah.
just walk away. I don't understand.
I think there might be some kind of pedophilia or child molestation thing going on. Maybe you should really look into it, because I don't know, guys.
This movie really doesn't give a fuck about logic. Okay, what about, okay, they have the setup with the fucking doors, right? So
Or I had that part of my
they just want the golden apple, and then they have to do this elaborate thing to get to the golden apple. And how do they go back? Through a door that they have in their lair that goes straight to the golden apple. It's like, what the fuck? Why didn't you just walk through that door and grab the golden apple? Like, what the fuck?
And so how did they even, this came to me much later, where it's like, how did they even afford all those things in their lair?
The TVs and
All
shit, they
those
must be
electronics,
stealing.
all the signs.
They have to be
Like,
stealing.
exactly. They're stealing, right? They have
Like,
to be stealing. The only person that has a job in that whole 7 group thing is the older girl, and she has like a way, I'm guessing,
you know
like
what?
a very,
in their head, it's probably a payoff how like Shazam got all that candy from the grocery store. What was it? That 7-Eleven that gets
yeah,
robbed.
yeah.
So
But
maybe
I think they pay
it's
for
not
that.
stupid.
But also, there's a huge difference between a kid stealing candy and root beer
Versus
or
a
beer,
TV.
and
Straight up looting.
versus 7 kids versus 7 kids. One of them is a little girl, and 2 of them are like 13, 14, and they're stealing flat screen TVs, signs. They're literally looting, like you said.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
Fucking
like people would be shot on the street for that kind of shit.
bunch of looters. What the fuck?
This is what happens when your parents don't check in on you all the time.
Dude, like so much stupid shit. So much
I have
stupid
like
shit.
I'm still gonna get into my third act where
How dumb?
it's gonna take like 5
Anytime
minutes.
some that dragon, man, how dumb did Lucy Liu look riding that fucking dragon? Every time they shoot
And
to it
also,
for
how
so
dumb
long.
did she sound?
Dude, she's terrible in this movie. I don't know what happened.
She was so bad.
So
she was
bad.
so bad.
I don't remember her being this bad in other stuff.
Yeah,
but it was just
it
like
was every time.
like no conviction. Is just like she's just showing up for a paycheck. It felt like it should have
Yeah.
just been Helen Mirren.
Well, she
They
just
didn't
wanted to
like. It was so unnecessary for Lucy Liu to be there. It was just Helen Mirren. It could have worked.
And like you said, like no logic, right? So even Shazam makes fun of that within the movie. He's like, hey guys, the age difference is noticeable. And I'm like, yeah, if the youngest girl is 6,000 years old, there's this huge age gap between all 3 sisters.
Yeah.
What is the point of that? And yeah, I'm gonna get into that in a minute.
There's another thing I wonder if you remember, but do you remember? I think it's Steve.
Yeah, dude, I totally forgot about Steve.
I knew it. I was also like, it hit me like randomly, and I was like, there was a talking pen in this.
The talking pen who explained everything.
Yeah, and it's a pen that can basically talk by writing down. Why didn't you just ask the pen its name? Why didn't you just call it Steve? Anyways,
Yeah.
so that like that they keep going back to it too. It's like a full-on character in the movie. Like, I do have to say, okay, the one thing I do like about Shazam since the first one, I think I like this world where they like mix it. It makes no sense, but they're mixing like gods and magic and like the imagery that they use and the things they reference. It's cool. Not in this movie so much, but in general, I like the themes that Shazam's is like about. Like both movies
Yeah,
kind of are themed about, where they had the seven sins in the first one,
yeah,
and I like all those things. I always thought, even in the first one, always cool to see. I just wish
and
it was a different movie.
and I think like in canon, it's like Superman. The thing that one of the things he can't fight against is magic. So it's kryptonite and magic that
Yeah,
he's
I
I
remember
don't know if
this.
he's powerless over magic, but like magic is stronger than him basically, which is what makes Shazam in a sense stronger than him. Because I remember the only thing I remember Shazam from, like from the comics, because I don't know anything else about Shazam. It was from Kingdom Come when he was still Captain Marvel, and
Yeah.
like I don't want to spoil Kingdom Come for anyone, but like yeah,
Well,
he's supposed to be one of the strongest, if not stronger than, or if at least as strong as Superman.
I mean, I think this is like a problem for the movie, where specifically Shazam is like a tertiary DC character. I think like he
Yeah,
doesn't work that well without the rest of the DCEU
right,
prepping him up. You know, like
right,
he's not the main guy, and like it works because all these other
right.
guys exist. So because of what's happening with DC right now in the movies and in
Mm.
general, actually, but it's just like it's hard to care because you're so confused by the end. We still don't know, is he staying? It seems like he's staying, but then are they getting
But
rid of
Zachary
other ones?
Levi,
Like, is
and
Wonder
and
Woman
and are
going
they
to be
getting rid
here?
of? And are they getting rid of the kid? Is he just going to be Zachary
Yeah,
Levi the entire time?
yeah, like what is actually, like, it's so unclear. So he's joining
Yeah,
the Justice Society. No, he's
right,
actually
right.
not, because in the end they
No,
just
he
like
is. He
screw.
said yes.
He
He
did,
said
but
yes.
didn't they, the two, change their mind? Kind of, they're like, nah,
No,
screw
no, no,
this.
no. No, no, no. She said, "Screw this! Like I'm leaving. Like I'm done joking around with him." But
Okay.
he totally said yes to joining, which is weird knowing what Zachary Levi is saying like on fucking Twitter and shit.
Yeah. No, it's just so unclear, where you're just like, should I care? Should I not? You know, I just hope they make more Shazam movies, so that like every single movie ends cutting to Mark Strong, or what's his name?
Mark
Uh,
Strong.
where he's
I
him in
forgot about
prison.
Mark Strong as well.
Dude, that was the great, like, that's the greatest joke, where it's like, I at first I thought, are they showing the wrong after credit scene? It's exactly the same, and he's still scribbling on the wall, and they're just making a joke out of it. Where it's still weird that it wasn't mentioned at all, but I hope for the next 10 years they just keep doing this, and they keep cutting to him, and after every DC movie there's like a post credit scene, and it's just him in
He's just
prison
like
and Mr. Mind.
I'm 70 years old.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. But he's like, what
I
took you so long? I'm very small. It took me a long
yeah,
time to get anywhere.
I just sort of like
I just kind of squirrel around
yeah.
and shit. I don't know.
I feel so bad for Mark Strong. Like he would make such a great comic book villain. He would make such
He
a great
did.
Lex Luthor.
Well,
And
yes.
yeah, I guess he did. And in Kick-Ass, he was basically a Lex Luthor on cocaine. But
Which is
uh,
like very similar movies, which is weird.
yeah, and like he was Sinestro, and he was so great. Like he was the only redeeming part about that whole Green Lantern movie, where as Sinestro, he was so fucking good, right? It
Yeah,
was like the perfect choice because he
he's a
has
great
that
villain.
charisma and he was amazing. But I don't like my problem is like every time they make him, he's never in a sequel where I feel like he should have been like a centralized villain that's like a Lex Luthor type villain where he's gonna be in multiple movies as like someone who's always like a thorn in the craw of like the superhero, you know?
Yeah, I wish they had committed to Mr. Mind, because that it's such a
Yeah.
silly looking villain. It's way more interesting than these random sisters that like just randomly show up, where
It
like,
reminded me of have you seen the movie Relic?
no.
It's like a small Australian horror movie about three different generations of women. So it's about a
Okay.
grandmother, a mother, and like a college age daughter. And it's a horror movie. So every time I saw these things, I was like, why does David F. Sandberg only referencing only horror movies like
Because
throughout
he's a
the
horror
entire thing?
director.
Exactly. And I'm like, poor guy. He's trying to do like something that's like a good blend of like horror scenes, but like which is what he did in first Shazam. And now he gets to this, and it's like turned into complete schlock mess. And
It
yeah,
was
I
so
think.
many things. It became torture porn at some point, where like
Mm,
there's the whole Helen Mirren fight, which is also completely ridiculous. you
oh
just
yeah, I don't.
She's just fucking handing it to Shazam, like she's just smiling it off, and in the back she's choking out the other kids with wires, where it's just like some hentai shit or something.
Oh
Just-
yeah. I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
also from Evil Dead, I think.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
all
It's
those
the
wires
tree.
are. Yeah, exactly. The
What the
tree
fuck?
that rapes the one in the original, the Sam Raimi Evil Dead,
Yeah,
and Dead
even
by
in
Dawn,
the
I think.
I think even in the remake, that scene is still there. It's even worse.
Oh yeah.
Well, by the way, trailer for the new Evil Dead looks fucking twisted. Holy
I'm not
shit,
gonna watch trailer. I'm not gonna watch a
dude!
trailer for a horror movie because it's
Oh,
gonna spoil everything.
it looks like
I'll just go watch the movie.
it looks like it's gonna be like right between the Freddy Alvarez remake and the original, and it's like perfect there. But it looks so twisted. I like holy shit! Like the trailer itself makes me
Don't
feel
tell me.
fucking
Don't tell me.
bad. But I'm just like that trailer alone makes me feel uneasy and shit. Can't wait for that. That's coming soon.
All right,
But
we'll review that for sure.
also, okay, I guess last few things from me,
okay,
but
yeah, and then I have a few things, and then we'll be done with this fucking thing forever.
yes,
I don't
I
ever want to
can't
talk
wait.
about Shazam after this.
But I guess other cool thing I liked, I guess, was it was stupid when they did the Fortnite bubble thing where the Fortnite
Right.
bubble is closing in and it's
I
just
turned
like
to you and I asked you that. I was like, "Isn't that from Fortnite?" Because you're a gamer and I've just only played it a couple of times.
yeah,
And you're
I
like,
had
"Yeah,
the same
that's exactly
thought.
Fortnite."
That is exactly what it is.
You're like,
It's
"Yeah,
for the
dude,
kids.
that's what it is. It's for
For the
kids."
kids right there. But like when there's some shots where at the end Zachary Levi is like floating up and it's like all dark and it's just the sign lit up and there's lightning striking everywhere because he went pew,
Right,
which looks stupid. But yeah, I thought that shot itself looked really cool of him like in the dark and stuff.
Yes, I was gonna mention that there are some shots that, like, especially when there's slow-mo, there's
Yeah.
like a few visuals that look amazing.
Yeah.
And,
So
and it
like
honestly
random
felt like, because and yeah,
yeah, just random like
exactly,
there was
just ran just
there was this white shot of there with the sun in the
your
back
camera's
and shit.
frozen. Sorry.
But is it, let me know when it's fixed on my side, it's still going. But
Yeah.
yeah, like that's true. There's again,
All right, now it's
I want to ask you this. Do you think this is better or worse than Black Adam?
better.
Yeah,
Yeah, better.
I agree.
Better for sure. Black Adam from start to finish was a trash can
yeah,
on
this
fire
has
with
it
shit
has
in it.
it has redeeming things. That's why I was
Right.
saying it would be perfect to watch at home.
I
Where,
won't go
like,
that far.
no, I think so. Where like I wouldn't be as
I don't think it
upset
is.
for leaving my house for this movie. Where like it made me laugh.
No,
There's some cool
no, I'd be
shots.
upset. I'd be
I'm upset.
which by the way, I have to call you out on that, because the one thing you said in your car review was, you know what, this would be a fine movie for me to watch at home.
Yeah.
So don't even act like you're gonna enjoy going back to the theater for this.
No, I'm saying the opposite. I'm agreeing with me in the car, saying,
Oh, okay, right.
It's the perfect Netflix film. Where like Netflix films are for me unwatchable.
Right.
This is not unwatchable. This is like that's why I
Yeah.
was giving it a 6. I think still it's a 5 or a 6. It's
No.
not like a like Black Adam is like a 3 or a 4. You know,
No, Black Adam's like 1 or 2 maybe.
yeah, somewhere down there. It's terrible. So I think it has redeeming qualities like that. It just has dumb shit like and also like cool visuals. Talking of that, the young sister had a cool power where they jacked
That
it
was
from
cool.
Yes, and
Yes, that was
Doctor
very
Strange.
Cool. Doctor
they
Strange, yeah, I was like,
did they explain what it is? Because what
it's the
happened?
power of access.
Yeah, but what happens? Okay, I ask you this: is it just the visually it appears like she's doing it, or what happens to the people in the house? Is there like somebody eating chicken and suddenly it just fucking starts spinning?
Oh yeah, I actually
Everyone
didn't
is
think
just
about
like
that.
vomiting from all the
That's
spinning. Because there's even a point where
That's
she
true.
moves a building in front of Shazam that apparently
Yeah,
must have
right,
not
right.
been there before, because
That was the Man of Steel shot where he crashes through a building or something like that.
he doesn't crash through it. He bounces
right.
against it and goes, ow.
Oh.
Right, but what happens to the people inside? Like that's my question there. And then okay, and then but going back from cool visuals to stupid shit, what was this whole thing
basically
where like
the movie
they finally Lucy Lou's trying to shoot the younger sister and she does the whole
Right.
thing and she moves the entire city and she goes far away and then in slow motion
and it still finds her.
the laser still just goes straight and she's just like she just looks at it and just freezes. You're just like, move. Why did
my
you
only power that I've been practicing for the last 6,000 years?
You couldn't move yourself like a little bit to the side and shit. And like, why are you just waiting there? She's just like, okay, I got away.
It's the running school of Prometheus. where Charlize Theron is just running in a straight line with that thing rolling behind her.
Yeah,
and all she has
exactly.
to do is just jump here or jump there, and she's like, no, and it just
Yes.
crushes her.
So stupid. Fuck, man.
Oh my god, dude. Okay. So I just want to talk about, we basically talked at random about all the things I want to put together for a third act that I thought, just plot points that I thought would be way more fun and clever.
Okay.
For like for instead of the fucking trash shit we got, right? All right. Wait, what the hell did I do? Press all to show. Okay. I don't know. I pressed something. All right, here we go. So, I also, while I was writing these, I kind of forgot the names of the kids, most of them, and I just started like calling them as like their ethnicities, and I started realizing how diverse this whole thing is. So I'm gonna mention it like that, okay? And it's gonna shine a light on some of the fucking production decisions, I'm guessing. So first of all, we set up, like you said, we set up all these things about the doors and all these things where he goes through these weird doors and he's like, oh no, there's like monsters in there and stuff like that.
Monsters Inc.
So yeah, exactly. So there is handsome Asian kid, right? Like first of all, you have a ensemble of like six
That's not an
characters in
ethnicity.
contrast to. I'm gonna give them a little bit of an adjective as well.
All right, like last I checked, handsome is not an ethnicity.
But handsome Asian kid, right?
Okay, because there's another
Right?
Asian kid, right?
No, there's no Asian. That's the
Exactly. So why do you need to differentiate?
I gave adjectives to the other ones, and I was like, I guess I gotta put one for him as well. But so okay. So handsome Asian kid, you want to give every character something to do, and you have 3 villains, right? So wouldn't it be fun where instead of just like you have like 2 heroes after one and 2 heroes after one, 2 heroes after one. So you got handsome Asian kid and then little black girl chasing old white hag through all the doors, trying to get the golden apple. Right, so they're going through all these random doors, and then Helen has the power of elements. So whenever they go into like a random door, and that would be cool little set pieces that I thought like David F. Sandberg would have liked to do, like monsters, like just for like 2 seconds, right? You enter this door, and we the audience who've been teased by it and introduced it to it in the beginning, we also would have a payoff to it. Like I was like looking so forward to all these things because it's like, oh, he's mapping out all these things, and then he likes playing Call of Duty. So I'm like, oh, he knows how to play video games with like different maps, and he's been mapping out all these things. So he would be like, they would try to distract Helen Mirren, and then he would capture her in my camera's frozen.
Yeah, it's been stuttering a bit.
Oh my god, hold on. This one's good. My fucking droid cam. Edit this part out. 1 second, let me turn it back on. Come on, droid cam. There we go. Is it back?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I really don't want to wait another 9 minutes for that thing.
Yes.
All right. So handsome Asian kid and little black girl, they're chasing old white hag through all these doors, and they have like all their monsters and visual set pieces for us to know. And in each door, like Helen is able to use some power of element or the other. And then because the kid has mapped out all these things, Darla is able to distract her, and he traps her in a room where there are no elements. Right? So he outsmarts her, and he's like, oh, I've mapped out all these things, and now you're trapped in this where you can't use your powers, and now you're just an old white lady. And they trap her, right? So they get her. That's one thing happening. Now, simultaneously, they've set up so much about the gay fat kid.
How come with him you don't call him what he is when he's turned? How come?
I was gonna mention that. I have no problem with homosexuals or fat people, okay, guys? Just for the record, I'm not shaming anyone for anything.
You should watch The Whale.
Oh my god! But okay, so gay fat kid, they've teased that he's overweight and he's not really into sports for sports. He's into it because he's gay for the handsome man. And they set up that that he sucks at dodgeball. And in the middle of the thing, one of the key things is Shazam being able to use super speed to outsmart one of the ladies, right? Wouldn't it be more fun if you're in another scene where Darla, who has the power of access, having like a proverbial game of dodgeball with a handsome Latino kid and a white basic bitch, right? The college basic bitch with this pumpkin spice latte, okay? they're trying to use super speed against Anne's power of access, where she's turning up all these buildings and he's trying to dodge all these buildings coming towards her with super speed, and then they outsmart her by white chick. She like distracts her, and the dude dodges out of the way like the bull riding thing, and then white basic bitch catches Anne and captures her. Okay. So he would say, so it would be a nice redeeming arc for him, who keeps saying, I'm not good at sports, I suck at dodgeball, and he was able to dodge all these buildings with the power of against the power of access, and they were able to capture Anne.
Maybe he saves a man and falls in love with him.
Exactly. There we go. So it gives all these. So now 4 characters have actually, there's been a setup and a payoff and a tiny little character arc based on the things they've set up. I didn't even set up these things. They set them up. They just didn't have any payoffs. And now you have the chick, and now you have old black wizard who doesn't have his powers, with creaky knees, and handicapped kid and they're trying to get away from somewhere, right? So that's a perfect comedic situation set up. But they just get away. They like just run away from things. Wouldn't it be cool if like Shazam actually said like, no, I'm gonna go rescue them while you guys handle Anne and Helen, and I'm gonna try and fight the god of chaos, right? And he's able to rescue them or something like that. So now you have 3 different situations happening at the same time, rather than the monster mash nonsense that we got in the city, where each character is doing something that's unique to them. They have a character arc, and it's in contrast to like the powers that the villains have. Yeah. Wouldn't that be so much better than the fucking bombardment of trash that we got of just like monsters running? And you can still do the monsters running amok, but it made no sense to just have that there.
I was asking you throughout the 3rd act, is like, what is the motivation here at this point? Like, what is actually going on? So there's the dome, there's the apple is supposed to regrow their world, but they're like, oh no, Lucy Liu is like, oh, we could grow it in our place, or we can grow it here because fuck humans. And then
that's it.
She grows the apple, but all it does is it just grows a little tree, and these monsters come out. How is that rebuilding their world in any sort of way? Like, what has that to do with?
It makes no sense. You even said, yo, that tree doesn't look that bad.
Right? It's so small. It's like, dude, it's not, I think you can handle it. And it's in a dome. You're like, it's okay. Let them have the dome. It's like, who cares? You need it. Do you need the city? That was a lot. It could be worse. It's like, but they have this beautiful fucking Athene, like the Mount of Olympus. Like, they don't want that back.
It was so much trash nonsense. And then especially at the end, when you were like when like the dragon is just breathing fire on the dome once the dome has reduced in size, and then you're looking at me, you're like, yo, the dragon's just like, what the fuck is the dragon doing? And then Shazam just walks away, and you're like, oh, and he just walks away.
Yeah.
While the dragon is just
in the background, you see the dragon just keep on fucking spitting fire endlessly. It's like, it's not
I was
doing
laughing
anything.
so hard.
It's like, it's
not, and then Shazam, and you're like, oh, and Shazam just walks away.
Yeah. Of course, like, what the fuck?
And he just goes and talks to his family.
Like, they don't even give a fuck anymore at that point of the movie. They're just like, you know what? Like,
and especially when it was, I thought that would come into play because it was set up earlier that Shazam shoots his, I don't know why I did the Spider-Man thing, shoots his lightning at the dome, and it fucking ricochets off and destroys like a building, right? Yeah. So I thought he would use that to outsmart Lucy Liu, and so the dragon would breathe fire on itself. But no, they did the exact same ending that they did in the first Shazam. Take the shaft, grab Shazam. I literally wrote that down. I was like, that's the ending of the first one. That's the ending of the second one. Take the thing, grab Shazam, self-sacrifice, Boom, he's not really dead, but the villain is dead. Oh, thanks.
Dude, I hated that they brought him back. I was like, if had they committed to
Yeah.
this, they would have been brave. I'd be like, it's hilarious
Mm,
because it's so clear that James Gunn is just like, we need to nip
yeah.
this in the butt. We need to
Right.
get a hard stop to it. But I was like, you know what? I even told you early in the movie where it's like, I think they're gonna kill Billy. I don't know.
Right.
At this point,
You call that.
I forgot why they gave it away now. But there's a point in the movie where just like I don't think he's gonna make this. I think it was the whole setup. I think of him being too old and like I don't know.
Yeah.
They were giving us hints that like I think this is it.
And like him having to leave the house and this and that and
Also,
and they mentioned that like where with the white girl she's like, you know, I can't pay rent here, and then while all that fight scenes is happening, the mother's like, we bought the house, and the white girl's like, wait, you bought the house? And they never mention anything about that again. I was like,
yeah,
wait, well, what about that? Like, aren't these conflicts that you should be solving? Like, shouldn't the movie be about
they
these things?
that's how they solve any conflict in this movie. They're just like,
Yeah,
by the way,
they
just
just
like
say it.
yeah, they just say one sentence and they're like that's the end of that arc.
That's it.
Like
But the
okay,
thing is, like, it still remained unsolved. I still don't know what the actual significance of any of that was. Where it's like she's like white girl is like feeling bad that she's a burden on a house with foster parents, and she's just like, oh, you bought the house. Oh, okay, that's it. We're done with you.
right. Okay, but how fun was it that Zachary Levi did a Fast and Furious reference to Helen Mirren because she's in Fast and Furious? But how dumb was it? The stupid letter that they sent where they're like,
Oh yeah.
what if we just ask them to not be some evil? You know,
You know
I
what it
don't think
reminded me of?
what
You're gonna love this. So I don't know if you know this, but there was a very old episode of South Park where I think in like season 4, where Kyle sends a letter to Cuba to what's that dude's name in Cuba? He used to be the
Fidel
dictator, or
Castro.
like yeah. He sent a thing to Castro because his parents are like, if you can bring peace to Cuba, then you can go out and have a sleepover at your friend's house. So he writes this very sweet note, and it's like and it's like very sweet, and like you see Fidel Castro reading it and crying, and there's peace in Cuba, right? And I was like, that's literally the same thing that these kids are doing, where they're sending this bird and like, don't you want to be not evil anymore? And I was like, what the fuck?
And our cinema loved the entire letter where it was just them talking and
They
I
were
don't know.
laughing.
Yeah, I
They were
don't know.
laughing their asses off.
For me, I wasn't
Yeah.
getting it so much.
I will say this. There was a hint at a very good scene that could have been a very good scene had they just made the whole movie about that, was when Helen Mirren and Shazam are sitting at that outside restaurant just eating, and then he's
Yeah,
like, family. Like that scene by just them talking to each other and then coming out with like a thing behind it with a plan, and then she double crosses them or blah blah blah.
yeah,
I was like, I wish there were just scenes like that throughout the movie. That's it. Like
yeah.
in a good structure where you set up some conflicts. Like Billy has interpersonal conflicts, and then they have conflicts within the family about like wanting to do his own thing, one wanting to do his own thing. Billy just trying to keep the band together because he has abandonment issues. Like make the movie just about that,
Yeah.
and then have all those little things of like, and especially when you have the same kind of conflicts happening between the villains. It's like, oh wow, a villain and a side villain and a side hero coming together with their stuff, but they bond immediately, which is why I looked at you and I was like, oh, she has to be one of the daughters of Atlas. I personally thought, I didn't think that she would be the third daughter. I thought it would be the same as Shazam, where she's the younger version of like,
Uh,
she says a word and she turns into like Helen Mirren or something.
she's
Because I was
that.
like, yeah, she's a oh, there you go. That's the name of the review. She's a that's amazing.
But
But yeah.
yeah. Oh my
It
god.
would have, and like I would have really like think about it, like
The,
wouldn't it have been so much yeah, so sorry, go on.
no. What did it finish, please?
Oh no, so I was gonna say like, it's like also like when he's talking about his insecurities to the doctor in the beginning about the superheroes, like wouldn't it be fun where a teenager, all high school movies are about a teenager trying to find his own place and he's not part of the cool club, right? So it would be the Shazam version of that, especially because he is a teenager in high school. And you could draw
Mm,
parallels to him trying to fit in school where he's maybe a cool guy in school, but as Shazam, he's not one of the cool superheroes and he's like dealing with all that shit. They don't bring any of that. They just do it as
See,
like a throwaway joke, which didn't even work, by the way. When he's
yeah,
like, when the doctor's like, I'm a podiatrist. It's like Shazam should know that. Tony Stark talking to Bruce Banner and Bruce Banner going,
he's
I'm not that kind
so
of a
dumb.
doctor. That makes total sense.
He's
This
so
does
dumb
not.
in this movie.
It's so
Like
dumb. It's so dumb.
they really drive home that he does not have the knowledge that he's supposed
The
to have.
wisdom of Solo Man.
At the end, they're like, it's in your heart. It's like, what the fuck does
Oh
that
my god,
even
yeah.
mean? What the fuck does
So
that mean?
I honestly thought when Desmond was like talking about that shit, I thought once Shazam flies off, right? Desmond turns to everyone and says, "You think he bought it?" As just like a fake pep up,
Yeah.
where he doesn't truly believe that Billy
But
Batson has all these things, but it like just motivates Billy,
e-
and he goes off and does like this thing, right?
even then, though, they need to explain why the fuck does he not have the wisdom?
Yeah, why?
It's the
He
first
has
letter
all the
in his name.
powers. Yeah, why the fuck does the older lady? It would be so much cooler if it's the youngest girl, because she's like maybe like super smart or something. Like the handicapped kid has the power to like, because he's devious, and the
Yeah,
super smart girl, or like the Chinese Asian kid. Sorry, I don't know. I don't want to assume his ethnicity.
yeah, you've been saying calling him Chinese.
Bleep that out when
That's the
or
thing.
like yeah. Come on, you
But
get me canceled.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh my
oh
god, it
my
was
god.
like
It's
what the hell,
basically
man?
any little bit of setup that they had always led to like the stupidest scene. Like suddenly that entire
Yeah,
subplot to the unicorns, when suddenly the wizard
that
knows
was the
that
dumbest
it's
thing.
like it's
That
dark
was the
over here, so it's
dumbest thing.
unicorn coming out, and it's just suddenly an ad for Skittles for 5 minutes.
Yeah, what
And
the
like,
hell,
what
dude?
the fuck? Like, literally, like at first I thought, like, I knew it the second they were like, I
Yeah,
know it. When I was just like, no, they're not doing this, and I just
yeah, yeah.
kept on going and going and going, and I was like, yo, this just paid for the entire movie. This 5 minutes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And the best part was like they all start riding the unicorns. Have you ever tried riding a horse? Do you know how fucking hard it is for a little girl to
Dude,
just ride a unicorn stomping through the streets? Shouldn't she have fallen down a bunch of times? It makes no sense at all. Why
but
any of this happened?
that's what I mean. Like the payouts are all terrible by the end of it, and on top of that, it's also, I think, for a superhero movie, very few actual cool superhero action scenes. Like the whole,
There
it's
was
just
no act. Yeah,
this entire time we haven't even mentioned that stupid bridge scene that was supposed to be
I
their
was
big
gonna
moment.
mention that. Yeah,
But
the first Brit scene.
it was so boring. It was just
It was
Spider-Man,
so bad. Yeah, it was
and
so bad. And I wanted to quickly mention how fucking done I am with ironic pop songs playing during danger times and a
why is it
superhero going to
always the
save them.
same fucking song? It doesn't
I am
help that
so
he
done with
mentioned,
that
and he's
shit.
like,
Yeah.
"Are you really saving me to the song right
Yeah.
now? No, are
It's
you
like
really
just
playing
because
this?
yeah.
Staying,
Yes,
are you really
exactly.
playing this fucking song right now? We've heard it like 5 times in the last year alone."
Please. Please stop. Like movies, just
And
stop
then it
doing
just, in
it.
that whole scene, you just see that like all these kids are so incompetent. The girl is
Yeah.
stealing kittens. The one guy is trying to put the wire together, but
Yeah.
meanwhile, like 20 more break and shit. Like,
That was one funny thing where I was like, oh, they're gonna set this up. They're the Philadelphia Fiascos, even though they
yeah.
have all the powers, but they're kids, so they fuck everything up like Hancock. But then they don't really do anything with it. They're just called that, and there's this joked about, and then that's it. Like he literally doesn't do anything about it. And one quickly thing was like, have you seen the movie Promising Young Woman?
No.
So okay, so it's about like some woman getting revenge on like nice guys and guys who take advantage of drunk women. And Adam Brody is in the first scene of that movie as a nice guy who's trying to help a drunk woman, and he ends up sexually assaulting her. And so when Adam Brody was like, hanging around all the chicks at the bridge, I was like, oh my God, stop, Adam Brody. Please stop doing this. You're gonna please don't sexually assault these bimbos that you're just like luring, because you're underage in this. You don't understand how fucking terrible it is. And then they bring a 6,000-year-old woman to kiss her just because she looks young. Oh my God,
This
we didn't
whole,
even mention pedophilia.
yeah, the whole fucking pedo subplots in here where like,
They didn't
oh,
even mention it where the mom is like, what's up with their boys into and older women? I was like, maybe if you
and
stop dressing so slutty in front of your kids.
I remember I was like, they take away the younger sister's power, and I was like, oh, of course. So she's not six
Yeah.
thousand years old anymore. And then like, no, she
Right.
gets her powers back, and she's 6,000 years old. Why the fuck does she care about anything that Freddy is saying? Why is Freddy suddenly blowing her mind?
And she's like, you're so genuine. I was like, is that the first person you've ever met? Like, maybe
Yeah,
that's what it is, right?
that's what it
Maybe that's
felt like.
like
It's
in
like, what the
6,000
fuck is
years, yeah, it's the first guy. And she said, I want to quickly get into this because I know her. She said, y- y- you saved me from the bullies. The bullies never tried to do anything to her. They were there to
yeah.
just harass Freddie and try to hit on the girl. All they did was say, hey, if you need to find anything, we're your guys. That's it. They were literally just harassing Freddie. And she's like, you saved me from the bullies. They weren't even doing anything to you,
All
lady.
of that
I don't know
was
what you.
so weird. Everything until she gets onto the roof and stuff. Everything she's like, oh, he turns into the superhero and shit, and she's so
Yeah,
confused. He's pretending to be on the phone, and it's the most fake phone call ever. And the 6,000-year-old lady is like, oh, I guess he is on the phone.
I was just waiting for her to, because I realized that that's when I realized she's the daughter of Atlas. Where I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for him to reveal that he's a superhero and that he knows the superheroes, and then she's gonna be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. I just trapped you and I found out who you are, and nothing,
Dude, yeah.
nothing.
And yes, I think
I
we've
think
talked enough about this movie.
yeah. Editing is
We
gonna be
got
a fucking
we got
pain in
we
the
got it
ass.
of our chest.
Oh my
Whatever
god.
whatever needed to be said has been said. I don't think I'll ever think about this movie again. And
I
I'm
hope
very
I don't.
sad. Again, I love the first one. I still think it's one of the
Right.
best things DC has done, and it's just a fun
I
movie that
agree.
I have rewatched a couple of
Right.
times since. I just
Because
randomly
it
because I
didn't feel
wanted
too
to.
marvelly. It didn't feel like, oh, they're trying to copy
Uh,
Marvel. The
It
first one
felt,
I'm talking about. It
yeah.
it, it was a perfect blend of like fun, lighthearted with like
It
deep drama, like not drama, but like dark scenes for
it
the
felt
villains, and it
90s.
worked.
It felt
Yes.
90s. The
It
kid
yeah.
stuff felt like kid stuff. The
Eh,
villain stuff felt
right.
scary. It's this like
Everything.
sort of
Yeah.
scary stuff you would imagine in a
And
90s kids movie.
I don't know why they changed their outfits. The first one was so cool with the big actual lightning bolt where it's like you don't even know if it's like a thing. Now it's just like a
Oh,
metal thing that's on his thing. It
yeah. I
wasn't
don't.
even an actual lightning bolt. Like the first one was so cool because they come close to it and like sparks are flying out of it. It's like, oh, that's just part of his thing. It's not even like a costume. That's just part of his like skin in a sense. And in this, it's an actual suit with like a metal lightning bolt. It was so dumb. I don't. They never even explain how they got those costumes.
I don't know. It just comes with
That's
the Shazam power.
with the
But yeah,
Shazam.
I guess that's it for Shazam 2, Fear of the Gods from the Red Chill.
That's my
Again,
thumbnail.
yeah, it's terrible. It's sad. It's sad. That's what this movie is. It's
It
sad
is sad, especially
because
for me, because for being a DC fan and for Henry Cavill being out of it.
yeah,
Like I just wanted like a good DC movie, and I guess Flash might be it, but Shazam
yeah.
was so great, man. I was so looking forward to it. It's been 4 years since the last Shazam came out. That's crazy.
Why did they say two in the movie? Oh, because the kids are growing. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
They didn't want to.
yeah,
They didn't want to talk about the pandemic.
yeah. Fuck. They were supposed to come out last year, anyways. But all right, yeah. Next is the Flash. Let's hope after Ant-Man being absolutely horrendous and the Shazam being an absolute disappointment. Let's hope if
Flash.
If Flash can slap a woman in the face and make this happen.
Oh my god.
That's what Ezra Miller's been doing in real life.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. This
that's
movie was
it for
terrible.
us from us. Like always, remember, like and subscribe,
Like,
and
subscribe, please.
we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, Shazam.
Peace, guys. Shazam. Nothing happened. Just
Yeah,
like the movie.
exactly.
Disappointment. Just like the movie.